Hey everybody, good evening from the WMBF First Alert Desk. Rachel Bogle here. We have several stories to get to. As usual though, I do have the Facebook stream up here on my phone, so I'll be kind of watching the comments to see if you have any questions or if you just want to say hello and let me know you are tuning in and where you are watching from. So just know if I keep looking down, it's to make sure that I'm answering any questions or just kind of seeing who all is joining. So let's get right into it because, as I said, we have several stories to get to, starting with this one. How about this for a positive update? We're starting to really go in the right direction here. It is day 18 now of the Carolina forest wildfire, and crews are steadily gaining ground. So the South Carolina Forestry Commission says over 2,000 acre fire is now 80% contained, and that really, they say, is thanks to those ongoing efforts on the ground, also that aerial support with all of those aerial water drops, and some help from the recent rain from Mother Nature. So the commission says the fire managers are, quote, increasingly confident that the fire will remain within containment lines. However, the areas that they're still working to try and contain, those are the ones nearest to neighborhoods and to homes. So still some work to do there, as they're really trying to get a hold on this. So the South Carolina Forestry Commission says it's going to retake the lead on the fire tomorrow from the Florida Complex Incident and Management Team, because they took over just temporarily, basically just to kind of give our Forestry Commission folks a bit of a break, because they have been at this again 18 days at this point. So it was just to kind of give them a breather, and then they're going to hand things back over. So our Forestry Commission again will take the lead. And they say once they do that and they do that handover, they're going to evaluate the plan and kind of adjust as needed over the coming days. And again, this is going to be a little bit of a long game here to get this fire fully under control and extinguished. Again, a lot of ground to still cover here, but again, making progress in the right direction now that we have 80% containment. All right, so this next one, there's a lot to it. All right, so the man convicted in one of Horry County's most high-profile missing persons cases is now asking for a new trial. So if you have been here for a while, you likely have heard of the Heather Elvis case. Even if you are not from here, this made national news about over 10 years ago at this point, and still this is kind of the next chapter in this ongoing saga here. So let me go ahead and these are the mugshots here. Sydney, of course, over on the left. So this is who we're talking about. Sydney Moore, he filed an application for post-conviction relief, requesting a new trial in a different county. So he is serving a 30-year sentence after he was convicted in 2019 of kidnapping and conspiracy charges in the disappearance of Heather Elvis, who has not been seen or heard from since December of 2013. So it was revealed that Sydney and Heather had an affair from July 2013 until late October or early November of 2013. At the time of the affair, Sydney was married to Tammy Moore, who you see here on the right. So again, at the time of the affair, and then still to our knowledge, we believe that they are still married. We haven't seen anything saying otherwise, but just wanting to kind of put you in timeline and context here. So at the time of this affair, Sydney was married to Tammy, who is also serving time, since you can see that mugshot there, after she was also found guilty of kidnapping Elvis. So along with a new trial in a different venue, Sydney is asking for a court-appointed attorney to handle his application for post-conviction relief. He also said his last attorney was ineffective. So this is his latest effort to seek a new trial. He lost previous attempts in both the South Carolina Court of Appeals and the state Supreme Court. Of course, we will update you on what happens. We also got to hear from our county solicitor earlier today. You're also going to hear from him again tonight at 11 o'clock with just kind of what he is sharing as far as his expertise and his knowledge when it comes to requests like this, and just kind of about this case overall as we kind of get into the next chapter here, another attempt at an appeal or a new trial here. So again, we're going to keep you posted. Meanwhile, though, if you want to look at his application for post-conviction relief, our digital team has the entire thing for you right here. It's embedded right in this story, right on WMBFnews.com, where you can read through all of it, all of the reasons where he is asking for certain things. All the specifics are here, and you can read through that if you would like. And of course, there's a picture of Heather there. So again, you can find all of that information on WMBFnews.com, and we will keep you posted on what happens with this latest attempt for him to go before a new judge. All right. Meanwhile, actually, I'm going to pop back over to mugshots here in just a second for this next story. So, an Horry County man is accused of having sex with a minor, then threatening to release a video of it. And he is now out of jail on home detention. And here is a look at him. Jail record showed 27-year-old Timothy Daly bonded out of jail this afternoon. He's charged with criminal sexual conduct, sexual exploitation of a minor, disseminating harmful material, and extortion. So he's accused of having sex with a 14-year-old victim in Aner during a number of incidents between August of last year and January of this year. Warrants claim he threatened to send explicit videos of the victim to her friends and family if she ended that relationship. Again, records show he's now out of jail on home detention after posting a $40,000 bond. So we'll keep you posted when and if we hear about his next court proceedings in this case. All right, I'm going to pop myself back up in here because, again, we just have a whole bunch of mugshots tonight. And this next one here, it's going to sound familiar to you, but this is actually a second Grand Strand nurse also facing legal trouble this week. It feels like we just did this, but this is a separate instance here. So she is accused of taking drugs from her patients for her own personal use. The South Carolina Department of Public Health and the South Carolina Attorney General's Office booked 34-year-old Erin Holman into jail yesterday. So she is charged with 2 counts of theft of controlled substances and 2 counts of exploitation of a vulnerable adult. She's accused of taking a quantity of tramadol, which is a narcotic pain reliever, from 2 patients in October of last year, while also working as a nurse at Angel Oak Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. So warrants show she also allegedly took a quantity of oxycodone from a patient. And a state attorney general's office, which will prosecute this case, claims she took those drugs for herself. So we did reach out to Angel Oak to learn if she's still employed at the facility, but we are still waiting to hear back. So we will let you know what happens with that one. Meanwhile, we do know if she's convicted on all of her charges, Holman faces up to 20 years in prison. And actually, correction, I did pop up the wrong mugshot since, again, we had 2 different nurses. So the correct woman we are talking about here she is. So there is Erin Holman in this picture here. So the one I just showed you a second ago was the first nurse we followed for kind of a similar situation there. So just want to make sure I had that correct for you now that we are going through this story here. All right, so I'm going to pop myself back up here. No mugshot for this next one, but we do have some video here. And also, this is an important reminder for a lot of you drivers because authorities in the North Strand say they are seeing a dangerous trend that's putting students in danger. So North Myrtle Beach police say just this month, they've already received about a dozen complaints of cars passing stopped school buses. Now officers are just trying to step up enforcement while also trying to just educate drivers on South Carolina's traffic laws, specifically those related to stop arm safety and school buses. I can tell you that I have just seen some horrendous stories of folks doing this and just having an absolute tragic outcome. So they're just trying to prevent that from happening, for any families here. So again, important reminders here while they're just trying to remind drivers to just know what to do if you find yourself in the situation because buses are out and about this time of year, school still in session. So just some quick reminders here for you. So all drivers heading in the same direction of a bus on a divided highway must stop when the red lights are flashing and that crossing arm is deployed on the bus. Drivers headed in the opposite direction on a divided highway or a highway with that median there, you don't have to stop. Again, only if you're going in the opposite direction. Also, if you're on a 2-lane road or highway with no median or divider, guess what? Both directions, everyone has to stop. So a citation for failure to stop for a school bus when they're picking up or dropping off, it's going to be real expensive for you too. That includes a $1,087 fine and 6 points on your license. So again, if you want to go ahead and kind of refresh yourself on all of the rules there, also kind of what to do if you're, on a 4-way road highway situation with buses there. We also have the full breakdown just to make sure that you are aware. as you are heading out and about, just so we can keep our students safe. All right, so also heading out to the PD for this next story here. A community there searching for answers now after 2 bodies were found on a roadside in Darlington County. So authorities were called to Philadelphia Street Sunday night, where they say they found 2 unidentified men dead beside a road there. At this point, cause and manner of death still has not been determined. The investigation, we do know, is active and ongoing. But if you know anything about this case, you are just asked to reach out to the Darlington County Sheriff's Office, and possibly you might be able to help get to the bottom of this. So we'll keep you posted when and if we find out more about that. Before we get to what we're following for you new at 11, just want to say hello to April Harris. Thank you for joining, and good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk about the forecast. What do you say? All right. So, of course, it is Pollen Central. Decided to dress in my ode to pollen yellow today. And we will get a little bit of a break, just a tiny little bit for tomorrow. So that little bit of good news here. So we will have some quick hitting showers tomorrow afternoon, but we are not expecting any kind of severe weather, but just know you might hear a rumble of thunder here and there before those showers move offshore by tomorrow evening. Our first alert weather team said probably around 6 p.m. they should be moved off. So, and then we could kind of welcome in some clearer weather after that. As you can see here, as we take a look at the Grand Strand 10-day forecast, not too bad. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, seeing some sun before our next chance for storms moves back in. But let's just focus on the weekend, shall we? We'll be back to clear skies through the rest of the week. Highs climbing back into the upper 60s to kick off the first weekend of the official spring season. Can you believe it? Tomorrow will officially be spring. It certainly feels like it at this point. All right. I'm going to pop myself up here. We do have a couple stories for you that are new at 11, starting with this one, a very sad story to begin, unfortunately. New at 11, we have now learned an Horry County crash from late last week is now fatal. So State Highway Patrol confirms a driver succumbed to their injuries yesterday after a crash Friday when their SUV collided with a sedan on Robert Edge Parkway just outside North Myrtle Beach. We are still waiting to learn the identity of that victim. We'll be sure to let you know as soon as we get that information from the coroner's office. All right, here, and on this next one, moving back out here to Robeson County, also new at 11. A North Carolina man is now charged in a second murder in a little more than 2 years. And yes, we do have a photo right here. So we are told 22-year-old Jadarius Kells had been out on bond for a December 2022 homicide when Robeson County deputies say he beat a man to death last Thursday at a home along Milk Dairy Road. Records show he is now back in jail without bond right now, charged with a new count of second-degree murder. So we will let you know what happens with that. Again, I'm sure a lot of questions are going to come about when it comes to bond and rules and laws around bond and bond reform. No surprise there. All right, so that is a look at just some of the stories we are watching for you today and into tonight. So hopefully you'll be able to stay up a little bit longer and join us on air in just a little under an hour for WMBF News at 11. But for now, that'll do it for this update from the WMBF First Alert Desk. Have a good rest of your night. Take care. See you soon.